Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Biham
Jaya Radha
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Biham Gopijana Vallabha Jivarada Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jivarada Yasodhanandana Bhajana Yasodhanandana Bhajana Yamuna Tera Vanacha Yamuna Tera Vanacha Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jivarada Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jivarada Yasodhanandana Bhajana Yasodhanandana Bhajana Yamuna Tera Vanacha Yamuna Tera Vanacha Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Shang Vishnupat Paramam Sabhavagacharya Sakara Shati Srimati Subhangya Sabai Charnavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki All glories to the Assembled Devotees, all glories to the Assembled Devotees, all glories to the Assembled Devotees, all glories to you and you and Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Nastapayesu abhadresu Nityam bhagavata sevyam Bhagavate utamasloke Bhakti bhavati naistiki. We are reading from the 8th canto, chapter 16, text 22. It's on the board. Can you make the Sanskrit big so that everyone can see it? Okay, good. Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenaham Vidina Brahman Upatasye Jagatpatim Chatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenaham Vidina Brahman Upastasye Jagatpatim Yatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenam Vidina Brahman Upastasye Jagatpatim Shatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenaham Vidina Brahman Upastasye Jagatpatim Yatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenaham Vidina Brahman Upastasye Jagatpatim Yatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenam Vidina Brahman Upastasye Jagatpatim Yatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam
Shri Aditya Uvacha
Shri Aditya Uvacha
Kenam Vidina Brahman
Kenam Vidina Brahman
Upastasya Jagatpati
Upastasye Jagatpatim
Yatame Satya Sankalpo
Yatame Satya Sankalpo
Vidayate Sa Manoratam
Vidayatsa Manogatam. Matajish, please. Shri Aditya Uvacha Kenam Vidina Brahman Upastasye Jagatpatim Yatame Satya Sankalpo Vidadyatsa Manogatam. But for what translation? Shri Aditi Uvacha.
Shri Aditi Uvacha
Srimati Aditi began to pray.
Srimati Aditi began to pray.
Kena,
Kena
by which Aham, I, Vidina, by regulative principles, Brahman, O Brahmana, Upatasye, can please, Jagatpatim, the Lord of the universe, Jagannath, Chatta, by which, may, my, Satya Sankalpa, desire may actually be fulfilled. Vidadyat,
Vidanat,
may fulfill,
may fulfill,
Saha,
Saha,
he,
He,
the Supreme Lord,
the Supreme Lord,
Manoratam,
Manoratham,
ambitions or desires.
ambitions or desires.
Translation and purport by Abhaycharanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Srimati Aditi said, O Brahman, tell me the regulative principles by which I may worship the Supreme Master of the world so that the Lord will be pleased with me and fulfill all my desires. Purport. It is said, man proposes, God disposes. Thus, a person may desire many things, but unless these desires are fulfilled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they cannot be fulfilled. Fulfillment of desires is called Satya Sankalpa. Here the word Satya Sankalpa is very important. Aditi placed herself at the mercy of her husband so that he would give her direction by which to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that all her desires would be fulfilled. That a disciple must first decide that he should worship the Supreme Lord, and then the spiritual master will give the disciples correct directions. One cannot dictate to the spiritual master, just as a patient cannot demand that his physician prescribe a certain type of medicine. Here is the beginning of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:16. Chaturvida bhajante man jana sukriti naryana. Achto Shichnasur Achtarti Jnana Sa Bharatar Shabam. The best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Aditi was Artha, a person in distress. She was very much aggrieved because of her sons, the demigods, who were bereft of everything. Thus she wanted to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead under the direction of her husband, Kashyapa Muni. The verse again. Shiyadite uvacha kenam vidina brahmam upastasye jagat patim yata me satya sankalpo vidatyat samanoratam. Srimati Aditi said, O Brahman, tell me the regulative principles by which I may worship the Supreme Master of the world, so that the Lord will be pleased with me and fulfill all my desires. Om Ayanati Mandasya Chansana Shanakya Shakshan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigave Namah Shichetayam Anobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeyam Shiyo Shiyuda Padkamam Shiyum Vaishnavam Sam Shirupam Sarajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Satyivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shifishakam Vitam Sham Hey Krishna Karuna Sinudina Banda Chatpate Gopesha Koprakanta Radha Kantanamastute Tapta Kansna Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhana Sutadevi Pranamama Vipriye Vanka Kalapta Vishake Pasinvepsha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Nama Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So, who is the center here in the worship? And what is the purpose of the worship? It is to please the Supreme Lord. That's the primary purpose. What does it mean, pleasing Krishna? What pleases Krishna? Rupa Goswami says, Anya Vilasa Sunyam Jnana Karmata Anavitam Anukulkuluyena Krishnanam Silnam Bhaktiruttama. Then he speaks about first-class devotional service. And first-class devotional service, one must be devoid of all material desires. So it's this first-class devotional service that devoid of all material desires and devoid of knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy and fruitive action, that then the devotee must constantly serve the Lord favorably as Krishna desires. That's another point, as Krishna desires. A lot of elements here in this definition of Rupa Goswami. And so when we do not desire anything in return for our devotional service, then, and it is pleasing to the Lord, then we are in the realm of bhakti or pure devotional service. But here, Aditi is asking for a methodology of pleasing to the Lord in terms of regulative principles, so that I can worship the Supreme Master, so that he can be pleased with me. And why? What's the purpose? So that he can fulfill my desires. That the Satya Sankalpa, my desires. So this is typical for the demigods. Demigods are Sakam Bhaktas. They have material desires, not so gross as we have in this material world, in this, on this earth, in the human form, more subtle. But they are Sakam. They have a purpose, that always. That, and because they are Sakam, they don't really know the Supreme Lord. Neither can they get in contact with him. When Bhumi was in trouble, then she approached Brahma and asked him for help. And Brahma, because we know the beginning of the 10th canto, that the earth was overburdened with demoniac rulers. And Lord Brahma and the demigods went to the milk ocean on Svetatwip. They were at the beach and they were all meditating on Lord Vishnu, Kshirodakasai Vishnu. They could not see him, he was far away on the milk ocean. He was lying on the bed of Anantashesa, and his feet were massaged by Lakshmi. But yes, they tried to meditate on him, but only Brahma could contact him, because he was a pure devotee. So not all demigods are Sakam. There are few who are pure devotees. Narada Muni is also counted among the demigod sages that in the 10th canto of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, yes, I am Narada. So, because he could come in contact, Brahma, with Kshirotakashayi Vishnu, and there was communication. And the communication was from Lord Vishnu. All the demigods should now take birth in the Yadu dynasty, because to assist me in my pastimes. So it means demigods have subtle desires, subtle material desires, not so gross as our desires. But it's still a form of false ego. It is said that the false ego goes up to until we reach the Bhava level. So it's this subtle contamination that in the heart but yeah, it's said here, so that he be pleased with me, so that he can fulfill my desire, Satya, Kalpa. So it is Sakam. But of course, the point has been made, and we discussed that also in the previous chapters, I think, that yes, Shatur Vida Bhajantimam Yechana Secretariana Artishikna Sharta Tishamsa Aratashma. These four persons with material desires approach Krishna. So everyone in the beginning who approach Krishna has material desires and has some motive yes, most motives for devotees may be also going back to Godhead, free from miseries. Yes, and that's, I must say that's very healthy, surely, to have that desire. Mm-hmm. But the pure devotee, he does not pray to the Lord to go back to Godhead. He says, yes, whatever you want, my Lord. Do you want me to serve here or in the spiritual world? Fine. But he desires pure devotional service. Because if one is pure devotional service, there's no suffering anymore when one becomes a pure devotee. And therefore, Lord Shiva says to Parvati this, when Parvati had just cursed Chitraketu. Chitraketu was cursed. Chitraketu bowed down for him and he smiled and he said, I accept your curse. He was just cursed to be a demon to become Vitrasura in his next life. And Mother Parvati said to Lord Shiva, I curse him, and he's even not disturbed. And Lord Shiva said, yes, all these pure devotees of the Lord, whether they are in heaven, in hell, or it doesn't matter for them, that they are always undisturbed. So that's a pure devotee. He just wants to serve the Supreme Lord, nothing for oneself. Does it mean that it is bad to pray when I'm sick and struggle with things and so on? No, that a pure devotee may also pray to get a healthy body, because we need it for service. It's not for him, it's for service. Like we heard also about the wife of Sudan Vipra. Well, Sudan Vipra, please go to Lord Krishna. We are so poor. I cannot serve you properly. So she was not asking this for herself, but for the service of her husband. So here, so Diti is asking for the methodology of pleasing the Supreme Lord, so that our desires may be fulfilled. But of course, we have heard the verse many times, Akama, Savakama, Moksakama, Udarati, Tivena Bhaktiona, Charita Purushamparam. But we are full of material desires, no material desires or desire liberation. One should with all force worship the Supreme Lord. Because one will become purified. Dhruva Maharaj had material desires, but when he was touched by the conch of Krishna Garbha Vishnu, then he said to the Lord, I don't want it anymore. That I wanted broken glass, but now you give me a diamond. So I don't want it anymore. But the Lord said, oh, good. Now you will have to rule 32,000 years, the whole universe, because you desired it, now you must do the service. Of course, he was a pure devotee then. He was very qualified to do it. But because he desired it, he had still to do it as a service for the Lord. And then he would go back to Godhead. Of course, he was already back to get with innocence because he's a pure devotee. And that, of course, back to Godhead means we think always of Krishna. That it does not mean back to Godhead is not a place. No, there is a spiritual world, and we are certainly, it's good to desire to go to our home. But here, this is Sakam. There's a motive in that. Yeah. So, so it's good to worship the Lord, having motives or no motives. That if one has, because mostly up to the higher stages in the process of devotion, even up to Baba, I said there is a subtle contamination. It's subtle that one is already liberated, but still there is some subtle contamination. Tosi Madhurya Kanambini explained there in the higher, up to Bhava, even up to, up to Bhava, there is still the identification with the body. But in Bhava, it's nearly gone. Prema, it's gone. So it lasts long. But Srila Prabhupada said about this verse, this is the beginning of devotional service. We worship the Lord with motives. And so before we are able to worship the Lord in an unmotivated way, one must first pass to the gate of worshiping in a motivated way. That's usually what happens with all of us. Who came to this movement just to please the Lord and nothing else? No one. Always motivation. It took me 6 years before I got to know what's really the purpose of life. Theoretically, you know, going back to God, but what does it mean? That's explained here, that the right motivation, that so trying If we are trying, it means trying to get something in return. But one must learn this process of devotional service, and by the practice, one will become purified, and one motives will change. That one becomes without motive, just to please the Supreme Lord. One becomes an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada in Markine Bhagavad Dharma, this poem he wrote when he went to America, he quoted these verses of the Bhagavatam and said, yes, oh my Lord, if you like to make me dance, make me dance. I'm just your instrument. And that is a very high level of surrender. This is the purity of pure devotional service. That, yeah, any questions, comments, corrections, chastisement? Yes. Yes.
It's a subtle thing with Aditi, because although, as expressed here, she had no desires, the desires were really for her children,
Yeah.
who are rendering service to Krishna indirectly, like you mentioned, the Sakama devotees. But there is a certain obligation on their part to maintain this universe. Indra has to perform his service, and all of them, the Surya, the demigod, they have particular service indirectly that facilitates the maintenance of this universe. So it's a subtle aspect.
Yeah, there is a difference between Aditi and Diti. This is Aditi. And Aditi, she's disturbed because Bali has thrown demigods out of heaven and she wants them back. So it was not for them that although Brihaspati had said to Indra, yes, this is only temporary, you will get it back. But then we see in the 6th canto, there Diti also approached Kashyapa Muni. And she said she asked also for a methodology to kill Indra, because she thought Indra, it's all his fault, because Varadev and then later Lord Nrsimhadev appeared to support the demigods. So she had a different motive, but to kill Indra. But finally she got also, because Kashyapa Muni is a pure devotee, and he gives them the methodology of devotional service in an indirect way. Yeah, they say you have to do this and that to worship Lord Vishnu, because by that Diti became purified, and she became a friend of Indra. They worked together. That is beautiful. That's the power of devotional service. So motives may be good, may be bad. But yes, indirect, she was asking for her sons to engage again in devotional service, but still she was concerned about my sons. And there you have a bit of the contamination of the false ego. And also Indra, it's Purandar Indra, our Indra, and this Manu. Yes, this Indra, he exhibited many times, his false ego, in so many ways. So it's not that our Indra was also free from false ego. So these are the demigods. But it's glorious. It's glorious that if all people in this world would be concerned with the welfare of others, it would be a better world already. That's where Prahlad Maharaj was praying for. He was praying for that. It's in the 5th canto, the prayers of the residents of Jambudvip, and they're in Harivarsha, and Prahlad Maharaj is there now, and he's worshipping a deity of Lord Nrsimhadev in Harivarsha, and there are 2 verses there in the Bhagavatam, and one verse is where he prays that all people may become free from envy by worshipping and serving together the Supreme Lord. That's a beautiful prayer, and we see that here also in practice. So it's at one side, it is quite a selfless position from, at least from our material viewpoint, but from the spiritual viewpoint, there's a subtle thing there that's missing. But the point is here is also, it doesn't matter, because she will become purified by going to the process. The process which is here explained as a Payavrata process of worship, which is practically, Srila Prabhupada will explain that later in this chapter. This Payavrata process of worship, that's all the principles of our deity worship are explained here. That's what we do in our temples, and that's also interesting. I found that very interesting when I presented this chapter to the Bhaktivedanta students, going to all the commentaries. Thank you.
Another question. You were mentioning how sometimes the demigods with Brahma, they go on the shores of the ocean of milk and they're praying, but they don't really see the Lord. But at the same time, we see Brahma, when he stole the cowherd boys, he actually had darshan of, and he goes to Dwarka also, and, he's asked which Brahma is at the gate. Yeah. And also Indra, he actually, after the lifting of Govardhan, he actually goes and sees the Lord and begs forgiveness and so forth. So there are occasions where they actually do connect directly with Krishna, and other occasions when it seems that privilege or the pastime is not awarding them that opportunity.
Yeah, that is the demigods they become when they know that the Lord appears in every day of Brahma, that in every 4 yugas he appears, and every day of Brahma the Lord appears, and they are very eager to see that, and there are many descriptions of that, like that when Lord Krishna enters Mathura, then it's then the damsels of Mathura are glancing at him with great love, and it said all the demigods, they are hovering above in their spiritual varmants, and they come to see the pastimes of the Lord. They are so eager to see it so they get all the opportunity to see the Lord, and that because they are devotees of the Lord. But that's Srila Prabhupada makes the point, and I find that interesting. They get the opportunity to see the Lord, but when we go to the temple, we see also the Lord. And of course, Srila Prabhupada, he sees maybe the date is different on us. He see Krishna really, that, and it is Krishna, but we don't have the same sign. Right.
It's a passive relationship that we have. When we come and see the deity,
Yeah.
it's a passive relationship. Wow. When they see, like often when Krishna kills demons and so forth, the demigods are pouring flowers, the showering flowers
Yeah.
on Krishna and so forth. So they have a more of an active relationship with Krishna.
Yeah, that's
a little bit more.
it's beautiful. So they are very elevated souls. Yeah. Good. Something else. Okay.
I have 3 questions. So first one is like in Vedic system, in Vedic time, like the disciple will stay with the guru and he will serve the guru, and so that like guru knows like, okay, this disciple is doing this thing and he is not doing this thing wrong, and he's doing this thing wrong, and he will correct him immediately. But in our ISKCON, like in current time, like our guru will stay in different place and we stay in different place, and there is no way to correct or like I don't know. You can you elaborate like how we can deal this thing like when your guru is not in our place and you are in different place, and how we can still connect to guru, like how?
Yeah, this is how to apply these principles in our movement.
Yeah, yes, sir.
We are dealing with a different situation today because ISKCON is a multi-guru movement with Prabhupada in the center. Prabhupada in the center. When my Guru Maharaj accepted me as his disciple, he said, you should take you should take guidance from everyone who is more advanced than you. So yes, there is a need of guidance also. But at one time, I don't want to speak about that, but yeah, you forced me a bit. But the guru system in our movement is not perfect, certainly. Because normally the guru who gives you initiation, we should also have a working relationship with this guru. Shiksha. Shiksha should be there and ongoing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's sometimes neglected. Devotees take initiation, and then afterwards, okay, it's more a social thing. I've got initiation, and then they forget about everything. There are a lot of problems there with the guru system, but it's the best we can do for the moment. That, yeah. Yes, Prabhu?
Well, my humble personal opinion is they should have put the emphasis on Shiksha Guru rather than Diksha Guru, which was Bhaktisiddhanta's principle.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Bhaktisiddhanta's brother rejected Bhaktisiddhanta because of that. So, but anyway, we have the system we have now, and 40, 50 years later, we're seeing the consequence and we're trying to rectify it to the best we can. But it's not, like you say, it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So second question is like, what kind of relationship we have with the spiritual master? Like, can we consider spiritual master as a spiritual father, or it's not correct?
Yeah, sure. Our connection with the spiritual master, according to the scriptures, is dat vinipanapana paripashna sevya upadekshanti teganam ganas tat vadakshana. We should serve him, follow his instructions in a humble, not challenging way. And that's what Krishna had put in place. And that's the basis of our relationship with the spiritual master. Inquiring how to bring all this knowledge in practice and serving his mission, which is Prabhupada's mission in our movement. Yeah. That's a relationship. Your third question.
Third question is like, it's a personal question.
Yeah, you can ask it later.
Oh.
Good. Thank you very much. Chantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.